with Nividous for its marketing initiatives. I would like to welcome you to today's webinar on how Premier InfoAssists automates its documentation processes with Nividous platform. Now, before we begin the presentation, let me share a few items. If you face any problem with audio or video, please use the chat window to share that. And you can use the question window to share webinar related questions. We will address them at the end of the session. And if at all we run out of time, we will share our answers via an email. I'll share a little background of Nividous company now, and then I'll turn it over to our speakers. So Nividous is a global intelligent automation company with an aim to help businesses work at their peak efficiency. We have developed our own automation platform that natively combines key automation components, namely RPA, AI, and BPM. And as from the very beginning, we have been focused on delivering holistic automation. Our customers have seen great success in automating any business process end to end. We are also being recognized for our work by leading industry analysts across the globe. So that was a brief company overview. Now let me invite Alan Hester, President of Nividous, to begin the talk. Welcome, Alan.
Thanks,
over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Shaylee. Appreciate everyone joining us today. So I'm going to start off just going through some generic background on RPA for those of you that this is new to. But before we get to that, let me just get a sense for where you all stand currently with your businesses. I'm putting up a poll for you to answer about where you stand. Are you currently running any form of automation in your business? So either we're currently running it in production, we have a pilot or a POC, we're planning to explore it in the next 12 months, or we have no plans to explore it. So just pick whichever option fits best for you. This will help me to know how much detail to go into, because if you all say you're already running automation, then maybe I don't need to spend too much time explaining how it works, because you probably already know that. Let me just give it another couple of seconds here for answers. Right now, seems like we are neck and neck between currently running in production and planning to explore in the next 12 months, and then also a few in pilot or POC phase. No one that says that they have no plans to explore it, which I guess makes sense, because why would you be here otherwise? All right, so let's move ahead then. And just as an explanation of RPA, for those of you who maybe aren't as familiar with it, so in RPA, we talk a lot about bots. And the thing to remember is that we're not talking about physical robots in this case. We're talking about software bots that allow you to automate tasks that would typically be done by a human on a system. And so the thing that's special and different about RPA as compared to other forms of automation is that all of the automation is done through the user interface. So you don't have to have a programmer with some deep knowledge of programming languages and APIs, and it's not a big complicated process to develop and set up an automation, but it's something that can be usually set up very quickly and fairly inexpensively, and there's usually a very clear, discernible ROI for it. So at a high level, that's what we're talking about. Some of the other things that we can get into in a little more detail as we go into this is that the Nividous platform is not RPA on its own, but it also encompasses a lot of other automation tools, and so that we tend to bundle those together under the term hyper automation, as opposed to just robotic process automation, which is just one piece of what the platform offers. So just to cover the other things here that sometimes are misconceptions, RPA is not just about trying to replace people, right? There was, when RPA first came out, there was a lot of concern that was generated because people were thinking the robots are coming for their jobs. And I think, you know, maybe there was some of that was going on, and maybe there still is some, but in most cases, this is a situation where humans are doing jobs or tasks that aren't really part of their job or their job description. They're just doing these jobs because someone needs to do them. And usually it's that a human is standing in the gap between systems that are not well integrated with each other. So they end up using these systems and performing these mundane tasks where usually they're pulling data out of one system to push it into another system. And you know, all of these things are wasting their time where they could be spending their time on much more important things. And so that's really what RPA is all about, is freeing up their time so that they can work on those more important things. So just to give you at a high level the kinds of things that RPA is good at: repetitive tasks, also those cases where you're working with a lot of different systems, maybe even systems that you don't have control over. It could be older legacy systems, or it could be even newer web-based systems, but maybe they don't have an API, or maybe you don't have the right people in place to be able to leverage development using APIs, and or maybe you don't want to take the time or spend the money to do it that older, more traditional way. And so RPA can be a great solution. RPA is also good with data in lots of different ways. So being able to create data where there isn't any, you know, maybe taking ad hoc processes and automating them, and thereby creating a bunch of data where there was none previously, or can be taking data out of other sources and making it available. And as I've already talked about, very popular usage is being able to have a place where you can combine data from a lot of different sources so that you can do holistic reporting or data validation, even comparing one source to another. Another big area where RPA can be really useful is if you're in an industry that's regulated in some way, or you have reasons where you have to do audits or have other compliance needs. It can be very helpful because a full audit trail is created for everything that's done all along the way. So in addition to the robotic process automation, or RPA piece that I talked about, I mentioned that the Nividous platform, really we consider it more of a hyper automation platform. And one of the things that that means is that we have added in some artificial intelligence functionality into the platform, which makes it so that, number one, you can automate more things, but also it makes it faster, more accurate, and there's just a lot more flexibility in your automations when you are able to add in this artificial intelligence piece than using RPA on its own. So if we just look at, I mean, you probably, even if you're not currently doing RPA, I'm guessing one of the reasons why you're looking into it is that you have heard a lot of people talking about it. It's a very, very high growth area right now. A lot of companies either working on implementing it or already well down the road towards making this a part of their enterprise. So now let's just look specifically at logistics and how automation can come into play within logistics. So there's obviously, for any industry, there's a huge amount of tasks that can be eligible for automation. And I think we're showing some of them up on the screen, but there's also, in addition to the things that we're showing here, there's also a lot of back office tasks that apply to just about any industry that also apply to logistics as well. So many of the customers or many of the companies that we're dealing with are within the logistics space. And so, we have a lot of case studies and use cases where we have seen huge improvements. And obviously that's the whole purpose of our webinar today, is to walk through the specific case for Premier, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But this gives you an idea how this can apply across lots of different use cases in logistics beyond what just we're going to show you today. So here we have it broken down in a slightly different way. The different use cases that have potential within logistics. As I said, this is also bringing into focus some of those more back office tasks as well. So I'm sure as you look through these lists on both of these slides that you can see many of those that jump out, and maybe some of them you will say, you know what, we have that under control. Our ERP does this all for us automatically, or we have some other system to do this. And maybe others will stick out and jump out to you as pain points. One of the things that we have found to be pretty consistent across the companies that we've talked to is the fact that even when companies are using systems that are designed to automate these particular processes, they don't always do it all the way. So even when you spend millions of dollars on an ERP system, there will be still some sticking points where there will be manual work required. And this is a great place where RPA can be helpful for you. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Samir, who's going to walk us through the specific use case that they faced at Premier InfoAssists.
Hi everyone, this is Samir from Premier InfoAssists, and let me tell you something about the company first. It's the company we started in 2007 with a vision to provide ease of doing international trade and commerce by consistently providing unbeatable and unmatchable service to international clients. And we have successfully grown and still growing on its core team and highly qualified and motivated employees. With helping in execution of exit trade for clients, the team has provided remarkable support and assistance for a trade volume of more than 2 million TEUs. The team not only executes business possibilities but also helps in identifying new possibilities, prospects, and goals for our clients. And one of our major clients is Gemini Corporation NV, which is based out of Antwerp, Belgium. It's one of the world's leading circular economy market makers, annually recycling over 400,000 tons of plastics and 2.0 million tons of raw material globally. They have a network of recycling facilities spread across the globe, and they operate through 35 owned or affiliated offices and 30 warehouses in 27 countries. Gemini's contribution in sustainability and recycling areas has been recognized by various international organizations. And now let me talk about how we have developed in the process automation in action. What we have done is we have tried to introduce this robotic process into the documentation process that is used in international trade. The main problem was when we talk about the automation, we were having several manual documents for reviewing and validation, near about 25 documents, you can say, at which we receive at various intervals, starting with the generation of new sales order through delivery of the consignment. There are various processes which needs to be executed and several documents which needs to be verified, which was a highly tedious and time consuming work. Then we choose the Nividous smart bot system to ease this work for us. And with the artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities that were deployed, they intelligently extract data and validate it against the multiple system documents with the business logics which we have provided to them. And successfully, the results was that we have successfully moved the documentation processing from a team of 12 employees to the Nividous platform, and it is giving great result to us with a turnaround time of reducing it by 60%. There are two main processes, when we talk about the documentation process. One is the letter of credit amendment process, means the way to check the letter of credit that it is complying or clean, you can say, to ship the goods. So in this process, what Nividus bot is deployed intelligently. They read data from the LC and fit it into the different components, or you can say various fields. And we have given them some business logics to identify whether these are correctly uh, drafted or not. And then they share whether it is correct or not. And then if there is any differences, then they highlight it and share the amendment in the same interface, and the bot sends an email with the suggestion for corrections. This is like, it saves 70% of our time on checking, or you can say vetting of the LC. Then a few other processes is validating of the bill of lading, or you can say a pre-inspection certificate document, or like generating a insurance certificate from the insurance website, or generating a certificate of origin from the Chamber of Commerce website. Here we have, the user are given trigger buttons where they can trigger and then upload the BL, and then bot validates the document by they navigate through our in-house portal and reading the content from other documents like LC or sales order, and present the document with the matches and mismatches highlighted, and send it in the email to the user who has triggered it. This is how this process has been developed. And this also, it reduces the human dependability, you can say, near about 80%, so that the bot is doing the basic work, and then the human is just validating whatever is left over by the bot, or you can say just a cross check of the things that has been validated by the bot. It saves around 80% of the human dependency or their time, you can say. Alan, if you can play the demo video.
Sure, I will do that.
Yes, this is first, it is showing how the letter of credit checking process is being done. It is picking up the LC from the email, then it is moving into our in-house portal, and then finding out which sales order it has referred to, and then it pulls the sales order from the system. This is the sales order it is pulling from the system, and it is validating different fields of the LC against the sales order and displaying its data on the Nividous portal as a final result, showing which are correctly matched. This is a form of the sales order. It is matching the data with the different fields of the LC. Here it is coming to the Nividous platform, and this is how it has matched. On the left hand side, you can see the LC itself, and right hand side the various fields of the LC. the fields marked as green has been correctly mapped, and if it is marked in red, that means there is a mismatch, which the user can check only those fields, and then it send it back on the email requiring the corrections or amendment that is required on the LC. This is how it sends that these fields are not matching and these fields are matching as per the business logic we have given them. Then talking about the more important process is a bill of lading process, how it does. The user from their own portal, home portal, they can go into the invoice, sales current, they say where it, all details about a shipment is given, that is called as sales current. And then there is a trigger point at the bottom where they can trigger the bot to check a BL. It asks to upload a file, that is the BL he wants to check, draft form of the BL. User uploads the BL, and then bot goes into the in-house portal again and find out the sales order or the letter of credit for which against it has to be checked. Then it successfully validates all the field with the matching and mismatch logics that has been given to it. And then it displays the data. This is the LC loading portal from which it verifies the things. And then it sends the final VL verification result to the user. This is how the data is displayed. Anything which is marked in red are a mismatch from what is that was supposed to be. And it also provides this yellow small boxes. It gives the suggestion what it is supposed to be. So it matches all the fields like shipper, consignee, notify party, description of goods, and container number, seal number, and it gives back the result to the user.
All right, let me shift back to the PowerPoint here.
So when we look for the path forward, like Nividous Smart Burst with natively embedded cognitive capabilities has allowed us to significantly expedite our time-intensive documentation process, and most importantly, the documents are processed in real time, which was not possible earlier. And with the continual use of the Nividous hyperautomation platform, we anticipate increased revenues and significant improvement in our operational efficiency as well. And we have also identified few other processes to make a bot automation from Nividous, like booking the containers from the specific shipping lines, and then container tracking processes, different labels of container tracking. All this process we have identified to further put a robotic process. That's all from my side, Alan.
Okay, thanks, Samir. So the thing to keep in mind about this, as you look at the demo that Samir described to you, is you think in your head, well, this seems so complicated. There are all these different systems involved and lots of data. And those kinds of projects are typically the ones that, if you look at traditional development to accomplish these kinds of things, these are projects that are going to last months and months, if not years, and be very expensive to get done. And yet doing these kinds of implementations using an automation platform like this allows you to do it much more quickly, and therefore you're able to see a ROI much faster. So let me just kind of walk you through the major pieces of the platform so that you can understand how they work together. But from a high level, it's really only these four different things. We have the studio, which is the development environment. We have the control center, which is where all of the bots are controlled from, and all of the human interaction happens here as well. So this is one of the big differences between the Nividous platform and other RPA platforms that are out there, because we have a true hyper automation platform, we have the ability for humans not just to assist bots or work with bots, or sometimes people call it human in the loop, but we can automate complete end-to-end business processes that include manual tasks that are accomplished by a human alongside of automated tasks that are accomplished by a bot, or hybrid tasks that contain some combination of both of those. And so all of that interaction happens through the control center. That's also where you get all of your reporting and dashboards. It's a portal application, so it gives each user a view that's most appropriate to them and the role that they're playing in the organization. The whole goal is to make it very quick to accomplish tasks, even when they are manual tasks. And then the last piece that we're showing here is the bots, and the bots themselves are running on an end user class machine. Putting a bot up and running to do a task is very similar to hiring a new human employee to do it. You give a bot a machine of their own, you give them their own logins and access to all the systems that they need. And basically, it doesn't have to be a physical machine, but it has to be a bot that's or a machine that's set aside for the bot. And you know, a human can't be working side by side with the bot. This is sometimes a misconception where people think, oh yeah, the bot can just be running on my machine in the background. We do not recommend doing that. There are some smaller RPA solutions where it's really intended more as an assistant to a person, but in our case, we prefer for the bots to be running on a machine of their own, so that they're not going to be tampered with, and there's not going to be any confusion between work done by the humans and work done by the bots. And then the last piece we're showing there is the smart bot component, and this is really the library of AI functionality that we have built into the platform. So in the Nividous platform, we have a bunch of different functionality that allows you to do things like intelligent OCR and predictive analytics. You can build your own machine learning models. You can do sentiment analysis, a bunch of high-end AI type functionality that is available through the platform. And then finally, I just wanted to let you know we do have this quick start program available within Nividous, which is great for companies that are looking to get something started or to try something out at fairly low risk. So what this does is it bundles up all of the software you need with all of the services that it takes to put one process in your company up and running in production. So this isn't a pilot or a POC, but this is the development of a full process to production, and it does it all at a fixed price so that you know what you're dealing with, and you're able to quickly and easily see what the ROI for that is. And we're certainly happy to talk to you about that in more detail. I see we do have a few questions coming in here, but we don't really have very much time left. So what I will say before I turn it back over to Shaylee to close us out is that if you do have outstanding questions that you haven't heard answered in the webinar today, feel free to reach out to us and we'll be happy to provide you more information offline. So Shaylee, back to you.
Sure, Alan. Thank you so much, Alan and Samir, both of you. I hope everyone enjoyed the session and found it informative. Please reach out to us at contactus@nividous.com if you have any specific questions. We would love to help you in your automation needs. All right then, thank you everyone for your time. Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Samir.